Hey everybody, Travis and Jeff here today. We're excited to be with you. Today we want to talk to you about why it's a great time for investors and buyers in today's real estate market. Travis, we're going over the market stats. There's some surprising things that we saw. You want to hit a little bit about the transition that we weren't really expecting?
Yeah, so what we saw in August was new listings actually increased, which is rare for that time of year.
Yeah.
Usually we see a seasonal decrease.
Yes.
So it was unusual to see it in August. And some of the thought process was that, people thought, well, if interest rates they're going to go up, not down, so I'm going to list my home, try to get ahead of it. So that was the theory. Now, what we saw in September was new listings dropped dramatically.
We've not seen that in a long time.
No, I mean, it goes to the seasonality of it, but we kind of thought we would see in September what we saw in August was a continued increase in new listings. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is active listings actually maintain level or are increasing in September. And so, why is that?
Why is that, right?
Okay, well, what we see is with homes that have sold in September, they sold in 12 days.
Days on market's only 12 days, meaning they list it to it going pending, getting the contract, only 12 days.
Yeah, those are the homes that went into contract. Now, when you look at all active homes in SLO County in September, the average days on market is 77 days. So this really speaks to having a good pricing strategy when you go to sell your home. Now, if you just want to list your home, you can price it at whatever. But if you want to sell your home, you really need a competitive pricing strategy.
Well, and it's contrary to what people are saying. They're saying that it's a bad buyer's market.
Right.
But we see aggressive buyers getting great transactions right now.
Yeah.
And we see sellers having the ability to sell their home relatively short. It's been a 13-year, just very, very bullish market.
Yeah. And when you look at the average sales price year to date, comparing it against last year, we're like 2% under that.
2%. So really it's been the top of the market.
Top of the market, and it's steady.
And it's steady. It's a great time to sell.
Yeah.
But there is a shift in the market, and we'd say it's a more balanced market for buyers and sellers.
Yeah, because what you're seeing is as interest rates climb, affordability goes down. So you have fewer buyers,
right.
But that doesn't mean there's no interest. There's still a ton of buyer interest. And so it's kind of economics 101, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So a little bit of an example of how it could work really well for a buyer in today's market. This is a real example we're going to use so that we're not just making up things. A year in March 2022, things were selling 5% over list. Also, people were just kind of picking a target to list their property at. So that 5% more might have been more like 7 to 10% over the current market, right? And people were paying that to get into a home because there was so much competition. So that's what we saw.
Well, they were not only paying that, it was getting bid
up, right? Yeah, the property can bid up well over, 5% over what it was listed.
Yeah.
So we saw this happening time and time again. Now today, let me give you an example of a buyer in this market. We have a offer, the property's listed at 1.25. The buyer comes in, makes a strong offer. There was a lot of attention to this property. They make it right at list, and they actually got the property, okay? So we tied it up right at list. Then that buyer does their inspections, like we always recommend, and there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done. About $100,000. Now, if this was a year ago, you would have not gotten any of that work done, or a year and a half ago. None of it. And there would have been a bidding war and pushing it up $50,000 to, I would say, $100,000.
Yeah.
At least $50,000, at least, right? So now they're in a position where they're getting all the work they would have had to spend money on, they would have had to gotten a loan on or something to do this. They are saving that $100,000. They're not having that delta of $50,000 when they go to make the offer. And they're coming, in my opinion, quite ahead. They don't have to pay the extra property taxes. It's super favorable to the buyer. Now, for the seller in this situation, you're like, wow, that seller was very accommodating. Seller's wise. They know that they have to go back on the market. They'd probably have to deal with the same issues. And they understand, like, hey, this person is motivated to buy our home. So that, sellers, good news for you sellers is that it's still a great time to sell. You're at the very top of the market still for 13-year bullish market. You have a ton of equity in your home. And wherever you're selling and going to is experiencing the same situation that we're having here on the Central Coast. It's not just here. And even if you're staying local, you're going to be able to have some buying power to get to negotiate some repairs, to negotiate, maybe some closing costs, maybe even a buy down of your interest rate.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's favorable to buyers. And I think it's still a very favorable market. Let's call it a balanced market.
Yeah, it's a really interesting time in the market. I mean, interest rates, they're, hopefully we're at our peak.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see some relief next year. It seems like sales prices are going to probably continue to increase, but probably not what we've seen the last 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
But it'll probably be a slower increase.
Yeah, I think something to note, the last Fed meeting was the most dovish kind of meeting we've had in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And so there might be a little bit of flinch that the Feds make here. And if they do, then you're going to see the downward pressure on interest rates. But there's no guarantees. You know, we've been hoping for that. We're really excited for interest rates kind of to level out. And it's, again, historically, I know you know this, but historically the interest rates are considerably low versus where we've seen them in the past.
Yeah. So if you're interested in talking more about buying or selling your home, we love talking about this. And I mean, this is how we do our business.
This is how we do it. Yeah. Through your guys' referrals. This is a time where we really would like for you to, introduce people to us that we can help. Someone might be thinking this is a horrible time to buy. This is the not the right time, not right season because of everything they're hearing on the news. Well, there's a different story and different strategies that we use to help people really be successful in any market. So if that's the narrative that you're hearing around and people saying, I really want a new house or whatever, but I just can't afford it, please have them talk to us. We would love to investigate all options to help people get into the homes and meet their dreams of home ownership.
Yep. Thank you guys.